Episode 22. Vince, we are back.
Yes.
5 awesome questions. We've got some in-depth ones in this episode.
Yeah,
as
we
well.
do.
Let's dive straight in, my man. Question number 1.
How do I recognize when it's time to start using knee and elbow aids, wraps / compression sleeves when lifting? From Allan Sutton from the TMJ Facebook group.
This is a great question, Alan. This is a question that we actually get quite frequently, probably in our retail stores, right? People come in and see all the workout accessories, the belts, the lifting straps, wrist straps, and the sleeves.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you know, should I be using sleeves? Maybe you're at the gym, you see people using sleeves, and you're like, you know, should I be using them? What do you reckon, man?
I reckon any time, really. Coming from someone who's had knee injuries, knee surgery.
Yep.
And I wasn't using sleeves. Kind of any time is probably a good time. Definitely use it as a preventative measure rather than when you start feeling sore. But anytime you kind of start significantly going through kind of hypertrophy style training where you're progressively increasing weight because you're putting more stress on your joints, tendons, muscles over that time. So I think really that's probably your best time when you are lifting heavier or trying to lift a heavier weight than kind of what you're used to. Yeah, definitely use them earlier rather than later.
Rather than later. You know, they're effectively preventative tools that you can use to kind of prevent injury or reduce the risk of injury, I guess. The one peculiarity that I want to address, or the one distinction that I want to make as well, Vince, is when you're talking about sleeves and wraps, generally people are going to start with sleeves. Sleeves are kind of like, you know, the entry level because the compression is less than wraps. And the restriction is less than wraps as well.
100%.
So, you know, if you're thinking about starting, definitely start with sleeves. Start with TMJ Apparel Matrix, elbow sleeves and knee sleeves, a little plug there. And then, you know, if you want to go to the next level in terms of support and injury prevention in particular, then you'll start looking at your wraps.
I'll probably, with that. So sleeves are good kind of when you're planning on using them for your whole workout. Wraps, because wraps you have to redo pretty much after every set.
You do.
If you're using them properly anyway, you're doing it tight enough that you're probably going to cut off blood flow that you need to loosen them after every set, which just becomes a pain in the ass as well. So you see a lot of powerlifters using them because they do provide more support. They're a bit tighter, but and it's easy to use.
Absolutely. Next question.
How do you build a great team culture? From _Jason_C from Instagram Q&A.
Oh, good question.
It is a very good question.
It's a good question. It's you know, man, it's something that in my, how long I've been in business now? 15 years in business, coming into year number 16, is definitely one of the biggest challenges of business, really, you know, and especially as a business grows and you have more and more people and different personalities, you're going to get personalities that kind of clash and can very quickly erode culture. I mean, it's, you know, it's something that definitely is a continuous work in progress, but I think probably the top tips that I can give for starting to build a team culture is to share your vision. You know, from a leadership perspective, is to share your vision for what you're trying to accomplish with your company, with all members of the team, so that everybody can kind of get on the, you know, I guess the first most important part with any culture, and you can kind of apply this to any business, any sports team, any kind of group of people, is making sure that everybody's aligned in the mission of the company, the team, the group of people. What are you guys actually trying to achieve? And trying to get buy-in from everybody in that team to achieving whatever that mission may be. I think that that's such an important fundamental piece of building team culture, or else you're just a group of people going in all different directions and there's no kind of gluing the team together.
Yeah, well, basically the team is a group of people working together to achieve the same goal.
The same goal.
So that's what you need to build that kind of team culture from whether it's different departments that might not seem or interact with people on a face-to-face level. You still want them interested in, for us, health and fitness.
It's, I mean, it's, you know, there's so many elements to it, man. And you know, Vince, it's something that I've given a lot of thought and put a lot of effort into this year in particular, because our business has changed so dramatically because of the pandemic. You know, it's definitely a continuous work in progress.
Yeah, it's a very hard one to build.
It
takes a lot of time.
There's not you know, like a 5-step process to building a great team culture. You know, you need to set that foundation is really important, and then it's, you know, it's a work in progress, man.
Yeah.
Next question.
What is the best fasting ratio to lose weight? From M_R_C_33 from Instagram Q&A.
Okay, so we're talking about intermittent fasting here. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with intermittent fasting, you effectively take a 24-hour window, which is a day, and you break it into fasting periods and feeding periods.
Correct.
What's your thoughts, Vince?
Don't think it matters, to be honest, as long as you're in a calorie deficit as any kind of weight loss.
100%.
Probably find the best fasting ratio that allows you to stick to it. It's probably going to be the best, whether that's 16 and 8.
Yeah.
It could be 20 and 4. You could leave yourself a 4-hour kind of feeding period and fast for 20 hours if that suits your lifestyle.
Yeah.
But something that you're going to stick to, you can't go freaking 16 and 8 one week and then change it the next week. Yeah.
100%, man. There is no best fasting ratio to lose weight. There is a caloric deficit, which will help you lose weight.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is the problem. Like, we've answered so many questions about different dieting methods in this series, whether it be the keto dieting method, whether it be intermittent fasting. And whenever you're trying to lose weight, you can't get around the laws of thermodynamics that say you have to consume less calories than you burn in a given time period.
Yeah,
so if we're taking a 24-hour time period, you have to consume less calories than you expend or burn in that 24-hour time period. It doesn't matter whether you choose to be fasted for 18 hours and feed for 6 hours, fasted for 12, feed for 12, fast for 2 hours in between meals and eat it makes zero fucking difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely no difference. What matters is that you're in caloric deficit, and whatever fasting ratio allows you to sustain that caloric deficit over a prolonged period of time is going to be your personal best fasting ratio to achieve fat loss.
Yeah, if you're doing a 16 and 8, and then in that 8 period, it's working, and you change it to a 18 and, what's that, 8? 18 and 6, sorry. And then you find during that 6-hour period, you're just eating everything because you're so hungry, and that extra 2 hours, you were much better off. Go back to that, because you're probably going back over your calories again if you're just eating everything in that 6-hour period.
Exactly. Next question.
Hey guys, I recently started to look into mental focus supplements like Alpha GPC. I noticed the supplement industry within pre-workouts puts them at low dosages. Do you personally take any source of choline for your everyday life or pre-workout? Plus, would it be smarter to buy a capsule version of Alpha GPC and pair it with something like BPN Flat, which doesn't have a mental focus aspect in it? From JDog Ramos on Instagram Q&A.
Yeah, right. So there's a couple of parts of this question where JDog has made some assumptions that aren't necessarily true. So, and I just want to pull those out so that we can really kind of get to the question that he's asking here. So I know it's the supplement industry within pre-workouts put them at a low dosage. No, that's not true. Some pre-workouts will use low doses of particular types of choline, whereas other pre-workouts will use clinical or above clinical doses of certain types of choline.
Correct.
In particular, one of my favorite pre-workouts at the moment, Arms Race Nutrition Harness, uses full clinical doses of acetylcholine. And there's a number like that as well. So that's a bit of an assumption that isn't correct. But I guess you do sometimes see companies pixie dust, just sprinkle some choline in there so that they can kind of put it on the label, and it is underdosed. But it really is dependent on the pre-workout that you're looking at.
100%.
So that's the first part. Then we go buy a capsule version of a particular type of choline and pair it with something that doesn't have a mental focus aspect in it. Once again, that depends on the product. So certain pre-workouts won't have a mental focus blend in there because that's not what the company has chosen to focus on in that particular pre-workout. Perhaps they've chosen to focus on energy, muscle power, muscular endurance, muscle pumps, and leave out the mental focus. So, I guess really what is the question that we're answering here, Vince? I'm a bit confused by this question once we kind of pull out the assumptions, right?
Do you personally take any choline for your everyday life or pre-workout?
I don't take choline by itself because I take pre-workouts that have it in it. And the other thing is nootropic supplements.
I was about to add that, So we both take pre-workouts. Most of the time we'll have choline in there. And we both take nootropic supplements that both have choline in there, or some form of choline, Alpha GPC, acetylcholine, something like that. Smarter to buy a capsule version of Alpha GPC, or Alpha GPC is like a raw and add it in. If it's something you like and you're buying a pre-workout that doesn't have it, for sure, buy it, add it in there. Buy a different pre-workout that does have it in there. In Australia, capsule Alpha GPC is probably much harder to come by, and no real supplement retailer that I know of sells it. Yeah, so if it's like a bit of alanine, they sell it raw. A lot more people like more than 3.2 grams to add more.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a similar thing.
I just think, another thing to be careful of here for J-Dog and anyone who's looking at doing this is often just taking single ingredients or adding single ingredients to particular blends is not going to give you the desired effect that you're looking for.
Correct.
So alpha GPC as a form of choline, and really any type of choline, we know works best when it's paired with definitely huperzine A in a full clinical dose, because then you get the synergism of increasing levels of choline and reducing the breakdown of acetylcholine in your brain. And also works quite well when paired with other nootropics, particularly tyrosine and L-tyrosine for the release of L-dopa. So sometimes you kind of, you might get hyped up about a study that you see on a particular ingredient, or someone tells you about a particular ingredient. You're like, cool, I'm just going to, you add that ingredient to whatever I'm taking and get these awesome results. Often it's more about the blend and the synergism between ingredients rather than just adding a particular ingredient and expect it to deliver all of these promises.
100%.
Just something to be aware of. Last question, Vince.
Not proud, but I'll let everything go. Stepping back into health and fitness, I've been a long time follower, so I've got plenty of knowledge, but the first days are spooky. What advice to a returning gym bro after a long hiatus? From Luke Nelson from YouTube.
It happens more often than you would think, Luke. I think a lot of us, from time to time fall off we get stuck into the fitness lifestyle and then things happen. Maybe we change career, maybe we get married and have a family. There's so many different things that life throws at you, and often, people deprioritize their health and fitness. So it is something that happens quite frequently, something that we definitely see frequently,
100%.
Especially with initiatives like the MassiveJoes Challenge. That really attracts people who have fallen off the bandwagon back into fitness, and that's kind of their first port of call. Vince, let's go top 3 things for Luke. What are the top 3 things that you would recommend after a long hiatus getting back into training, back into the fitness lifestyle?
One would be start slow. So come back in and start slow. Don't assume that you're going to be able to lift the same weight that you were previously.
Big mistake.
That's where you'll return to the gym, all good, motivated, you'll get an injury and you'll be out again.
And I think that applies to everything, right? Not just lifting in the gym, but your ability to stick to a diet, your ability to get back in. I think a lot of people after a long hiatus just assume that they're going to flick a switch and go back to the fitness lifestyle in all aspects. It's a big mistake, firstly, because you're not going to be able to do it. You're just not, right? And then so you risk, from a training perspective, you risk injury, you risk setbacks that are going to happen quite quickly. But from a psychological perspective, more importantly, if you're setting yourself up with the expectation that you're going to go back to where you left off, and it's just realistically not going to happen, you'll stick to it for a couple of weeks and you throw the towel in. And you'll go, this is shit, because it's just an unrealistic expectation right from the start. So I think that's definitely the most important thing, is understand that it's going to take small baby steps to get back to where you left off in your fitness journey.
Yeah, even not just lifted. You might come in with this big program training every day like you used to. You're going to be real sore, and that's not going to happen. Then you're going to be off for the next week because you can't move. So take it slow, kind of tone it down a bit and progress back up again. And probably track your progress would be another one. Just keep those levels of motivation, and that you are still progressing in the right way. Would be my kind of top tips.
And I'll give a third one as well, just because it's relevant to a podcast that I shot a couple of days ago.
There you go.
Is don't think that the bad habits that you have developed over your hiatus, and let's be honest, there's definitely, it might be, having some alcohol every night before you go to bed. It might be little snacks that you incorporate every day. There's a lot of bad habits that don't support the fitness lifestyle. Don't think that you can just turn those bad habits off. I think a lot of people just go, you know what, I've got the willpower and the mindset just to go, well, I've been having a glass of wine every night for the last 2 years, and I'm just immediately going to go, nah, that's not happening anymore. Or, I've been snacking after dinner. I have a little snack for dessert before I go to bed every night. I'm just going to immediately switch that off. You can't just turn off bad habits. You have to replace them with good habits. So it might be replacing that glass of wine every night, maybe with a sugar-free soda, for example. It might be replacing those the snacks that you have every night before you go to bed after dinner, maybe with some fruit. for example. So you need to start replacing a lot of the bad habits that you've developed over your hiatus with good habits that now support the fitness lifestyle again.
100%, I agree with that.
Vince, that's a wrap, man.
That's it.
Episode 22 in the books. Guys, if you've got a question that you would like us to answer in the next episode of The Clinical Dose, the best place to post it is down below here in the comments on the YouTube channel. That's the first place that we look, and we pick the best questions from there, and then we go and search Instagram and the MassiveJoes Facebook page and all the other places. But the comments down below is where you want to be. Vince.
That's it.
Guys, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn your post notifications on your mobile, your cell phone, your desktop PC, and whatever other device you're watching this video on, so you don't miss a beat when it comes to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel. Until next time, where we coming to and from, Vince?
MassiveJoes.com.
Stay massive. Thank you for tuning into this video. We hope you enjoyed watching. Don't forget to check out our latest upload and our recommended video, and be sure to subscribe to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads.